Elon Musk picks up the phone and calls Larry Page, the founder of Google. There are only 14 days left until Tesla would have been bankrupt.
The company was bleeding money like crazy, and if we didn't solve these problems in a very short period of time, we would die.
Calling at the time his friend, Larry Page, would have been a last-minute resort to bail the company out. Luckily, it never came to that. But what did happen is right after this near-death event, Tesla's stock skyrocketed.
And turn to your other big story of the day, and that is what else? It is Tesla.
This was a business that was going out of business. Everyone was worried about that. And now this last leg, in particular today, was about the batteries.
You expect to still be an investor in 8 to 10 years?
Yes.
But why? Well, I wanted to answer that question and understand what's the big deal with Tesla. Why are they so much different than all the other electric car companies? And also, why right after these near-death events does Tesla stock keep going up? So I dug through hours of research, financial reports, data, and finally came up with an answer. There's a lot to understand about Elon and Tesla, and today I'm going to show you how we got here. But to understand that, we have to uncover the strategy that Elon has been using to build many multi-billion and even trillion-dollar companies. From selling Zip2 for $307 million, merging X.com with PayPal, building the Boring Company, SpaceX, and Tesla. From what I've read, after digging through his mentality and mindset, it really comes down to 3 key themes. First comes the vision. What fits into his vision for problems to solve? For Tesla, that's to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy.
I mean, the bizarre thing is that obviously we're going to run out of oil. It's tautological. We must have a sustainable energy transport and energy infrastructure in the long term.
And to effectively do this at scale, he has to have the right people in place in organizational structure to scale it as the solution scales. And this is true with Tesla and SpaceX. They are the most sought out companies for engineers graduating out of college to go to. And the reality is, wherever the top talent is most likely the company that will be able to succeed. And finally is a predictable road to performance. As their production increases, so does the cost to make them, which means these combined effects eventually reach economies of scale, or what's known as the experience curve. Basically, the more practice you have at a key skill, like writing or drawing, the better you'll get at it over time. But wait a second, you can't just scale a company and sales out of nowhere. You have to have that spark early on that gets consumers excited about whatever product or service you're building.
Mr. Elon Musk.
And that begs the question, how did Tesla develop that spark so early on? I think it really boils down to 2 things. One, love him or hate him, Elon Musk is one of the most successful innovators of our time.
What's going on?
Never-ending explosion.
It's just constant ideas, just bouncing around.
Yes.
By the way, if you're enjoying this video, a sub to the channel would be splendid. So when he took over Tesla, people paid attention and took him seriously, leading to the Roadster's innovativeness kind of selling itself. It was covered on Motor Trend and many other news publications until word eventually reached Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We challenge the car companies to be innovative, to think outside the box, to think beyond gasoline.
At this time, what the public is seeing is this visionary startup building electric cars working to revolutionize the future. But in reality, behind the scenes, everything was falling apart.
34 subprime mortgage companies have gone bust in just the last few months.
He has no idea how bad it is up there. He has no idea.
The Dow tumbled more than 500 points after 2 pillars of the street tumbled over the weekend. Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy.
Not only did the financial system just collapse, but he also just gotten a divorce, and the Roadster was not looking too good. Luckily, there were enough investors that believed in him and Tesla to invest an additional $50 million to keep the company going. They received this money on Christmas Eve, which meant just literally a few hours later, and Tesla would have gone bankrupt. But this was just the first time. Tesla almost went bankrupt 2 more times. And to understand how each of those experiences actually helped Tesla become a $1 trillion company, we're missing something that happened during this time that no one really talks about. Tesla's Roadster wasn't just a display piece. It was actually a genius way of raising money without having to say, hey, investors, we need some more money, can you give us some? They did this through pre-orders.
That is a car that can go 0 to 60 in 4-ish seconds.
The need is now to have a car company of this nature, and you're not just buying a sports car. You're actually helping pay for development of the mass market vehicles.
And no, these weren't just any pre-orders. By pre-ordering, you became part of this exclusive club named the Tesla Roadster Club. By paying 30 grand, you could be a normal club member. But by paying an additional 20 grand, you would be named as a quote-unquote premium buyer and get your car a little bit faster than everybody else. Oh, and you might think Tesla's almost a $1 trillion company now. They don't have to do that anymore, right? Well, that's not necessarily true. Take a look at this. Do you notice anything? Well, near the bottom of this section of the page, when you go to build your car, there's this option for a full self-driving add-on for $13,000. But when you add it on, you actually don't get everything that's advertised for full self-driving. Instead, Tesla's like, hey, you can buy this software up front. It's not ready yet, but when it is, you'll have it. Which means you as the buyer are actually quote-unquote investing in the research and development of the software. Gotta say, that's a sneaky but genius move on Musk and Tesla's part. Okay, this process of gathering cash up front was quite helpful, but it wasn't near enough to keep the company afloat.
The IPO of the day, and it's Tesla. Starting at $17 a share, big day for CEO Elon Musk.
Elon, a huge day for Tesla, the company going public. Why now?
It was actually at this point that Tesla could have been profitable, over 10 years ago from where we are now. But remember what we talked about earlier. Tesla's vision isn't to build electric sports cars. It's to build an ecosystem that enables everybody to purchase an electric car. And that's exactly what Tesla did. So when 2013 hit, Tesla announced the Model S, aimed to be a more affordable electric car to reach the masses. But given that Tesla wanted to control a lot of the manufacturing themselves, that came at quite a hefty cost. Many customers complained of software glitches and a cheap interior design, which led to negative press and almost sank the company. So Elon went back to the drawing board and did 3 things to solve this problem. First, he called Larry Page, the founder of Google, asking them if they would buy Tesla if they went under. Second, he shut down the factory for quote-unquote maintenance, which, although it's technically true, wasn't the full story. The truth is, the negative press led to orders not coming in fast enough, meaning it didn't make sense for Tesla to produce excess of the cars they needed. But obviously, Tesla couldn't tell anybody that, because if that leaked, Tesla would go under right then and there, and Google would have probably bought the company. So that's where the third thing comes into play. He had to fix these quality issues that customers were complaining about, and was ready to announce an even more affordable car just a few years later, the Model 3.
So what do you think? You like the car?
Now, this car's initial starting price was around $35,000, what would have been one of the most affordable electric cars in the world. Unfortunately, one of the most immense issues Tesla has ever faced arose with this car. Up until this point, Tesla's still not really reached that economies of scale that we talked about earlier. They were taking in a lot of orders of these cars, but they had the exact opposite problem they had earlier. They had too many orders and not a scalable production process. This downward pressure to fulfill these orders as quick as possible and also do it effectively led to a very stressed team at Tesla. One of the things Elon tried to do is turn the entire assembly line to robots. I mean, that makes sense, right? In theory, robots are more efficient than humans, so why not just have the robots build the cars? It's automated, it saves a lot of time.
In some cases, the robots actually slow the production, right?
Yes, they did. We had this crazy complex network of conveyor belts, and it was not working.
Tesla had to reshift the entire assembly line back to human labor. Luckily, it worked. Tesla delivered over 367,000 vehicles in 2019. 50% more than the year prior. And by doing this, they became the only profitable mass manufacturer of electric vehicles on the planet. That's quite a feat, especially when you're still in the process of being as capital efficient as possible. But hold on, this entire video, we've been talking about Tesla as an automobile company, but Tesla actually isn't a car company. It's actually much more comparable to a technology company like Apple than it is to your average Ford or General Motors. Why? Well, Tesla doesn't just have one way of making money, which is through the cars. They have many verticals that they are tackling to build an ecosystem. First, of course, they have the automobile side of their business, which challenges traditional car manufacturers, but they also have superchargers, which eventually could put gas stations out of business. Then they're challenging energy providers with the Powerwall, which eventually could put energy providers out of business. And then they're challenging the software companies by building their own AI and data algorithms for full self-driving and autopilot. The point is, Tesla is a major superpower in the tech industry. And that's why it's not valued as a car company, because it's not one. And one of the only ways they've been able to do this is through the challenges they faced, which forced Tesla to execute on their vision in a quick efficient, and scalable way. And I think there's one really important thing we learned more than anything else in this video. It takes a lot of work to be sexy. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe down below for more stories like this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.